The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Suckling on the teat of tech.
With Paul Brislen.
Yes, talking high tech with Paul Brislen, auden.wordpress.com and twitter.com/Paul Brislen. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, how are you?
Are you besotted this week?
I don't know about besotted, but I have found an Apple product that I would actually go out and pay money for.
This is the week that was meant to change the world of technology. It was meant to be a new dawn, a new era.
A whole new era. The most important product Apple's ever released.
The landing of the iPad.
Stupid name. Let's deal with the name first. It's stupid. Steve, what were you thinking? This is not an incontinence nappy. It is a piece of hardware.
Well, it's
for anybody who gets confused and tries to slap it in their undies, it's not going to do you any good.
But it's an obvious name, though, right?
Well, it is, I suppose. I mean, you've got iPod, you've got iPhone, you've got iPad. Yeah. I can see the IP thing going on all over the place. That's lovely, but it's stupid. I mean, everybody was talking about it as a tablet, and I don't think that works either. And then they were calling it a slate, and I think that's probably that's got a certain flinty tone to it, which I quite like.
Yeah.
But I was just hoping that the Apple marketing BMS would come up with a cool name, and they didn't. So that's a shame. However, they did come up with a cool bit of kit. Or have they?
Yeah, or have they? Because I think there's a lot of people spit on this.
Well, I was quite surprised. I don't know if it's the natural backlash to years and years of Apple releasing products and the fanboys screaming and running around the room as if it was the second coming of the Prophet. But finally they've released a product that I think that actually is going to make some difference. And the reaction around the world seems to be summed up in the word meh. Most people don't seem to care.
Well, maybe because it wasn't so much of a surprise. I think.
Well, that's right.
I think you're right. It probably is a cool piece of kit, but it's what everyone almost expected that it would be.
That's right. It's ticked all the boxes, and all of the leaked, faked up photos were actually pretty much bang on the money.
Yeah.
Which, that's quite an interesting turn of events, isn't it? That Apple has done very little, in fact, quite a lot to avoid any publicity on this score before the launch, and yet everybody's best efforts and best guesses were pretty much on the money.
Yeah.
So what we've got is it's about 10 inches corner to corner flat panel computer. It looks like an iPod that's been rolled out with a rolling pin, an iPhone, I should say, rolled out with a rolling pin out to, six times the size.
That's a good description, yeah.
It's, and it's exactly the same. It's got the same button, it's got the same beveled edge, it's got the same look and feel, and it runs very similar operating systems. So all of the iPhone applications will run on it. Now, to me, the big problem I have with the iPhone is that I'm getting old and my eyes aren't what they used to be, and I would very much like to be able to use the iPhone functionality on a larger device. And here it is. So I'm very happy. I can see now a world where I have a cell phone that just does voice and text and has a phenomenal battery life, and a data device like a Slate that does all my data needs and gives me access to... for me, the most exciting thing is, at the presentation, was the New York Times people coming out and saying, we've developed an app for the iPhone, for the iPad, and this is what it looks like. And to me, that could possibly be the savior of newspapers. Because, ex-newspaper man here, they're dear to my heart. I love the touch and feel of reading a newspaper, of sitting there and turning the pages, of seeing how they've laid the stories out in conjunction with each other. And websites for newspapers just don't do that. They just deliver words and occasionally the odd video.
So do you think that Steve Jobs and the content providers have possibly come up with a model where consumers may feel actually like paying for content?
Yeah. I think so. I would subscribe to a newspaper and read it on my iPad rather than subscribing to the website and reading it on my laptop. Because it actually looks like a newspaper. I get all of that good touch and feel quality that goes with it, and I can use it for so much more as well. So whenever I've been traveling, I go to the bookshop at the airport, buy a big paperback book, read it on the plane, and then when I arrive in the hotel room, I realise I've got nowhere to put the damn thing for the return leg. I generally leave it behind or give it to somebody.
Yeah.
Well, now I can have 4 or 5 books with me at all times, I can have all my music with me at all times. I can have maybe a movie. And, at the demo, he showed a little bit of Star Trek and a little bit of Pixar's Up, and they looked like something I would actually sit on the train commuting to work and watch a TV show or a movie on my slate. It
does look like a very beautiful screen, but there are issues here, aren't there? I mean, the fact that it's still Apple, so therefore it's not open.
Lockdown.
It's locked down.
That's right. Yeah.
And so therefore, if you're not on side with Apple, if you're a content provider and you're not on side with Apple, then you're going to have some issues getting your stuff out there through this product.
That's right. Applications as well, and from what I understand, the books. They've launched this iBook bookstore, which is like iTunes, but for books. Oh, sorry, it's North America only. So you foreigners, you'll get it when we're good and ready. And that annoys me endlessly. It's the World Wide Web, Steve, not the North America Wide Web.
Yeah. Also, it has the same issues that the iPhone does and the iPod, where you can't run multiple applications at the one time, so you can't really be multitasking on this.
But that is a drawback. I mean, if I'm sitting there reading the paper, I want to know when that important email arrives. Ding! Oh, look, I've got an email. That's the kind of experience I'm after.
Well, you want to listen to music and do something else at the same time.
Exactly, music playing in the background. I think, though, because you can do that with the iPhone, you can leave the music running and do other stuff.
But it's not inherently built in.
It's not.
So you require certain applications that can actually do that, but it's not.
That's right. It's very special. But that is just a software issue. So the rumor is that the next version of the operating system for the iPhone, version 4, which will be out in the middle of the year, I believe, multitasking is a component of that because everybody's screaming for it. That to me is really that would break the deal. That would seal it. I would be done at that point. I would have one.
Yeah.
As it is, I'll put up with the inherent difficulties in that. Because the other side of it is battery life. If you've got all these things running in the background, they drain the battery like there's no tomorrow, particularly in the email appliance that would be going off looking for email every 5 minutes or so, using the 3G or the Wi-Fi network. That will drain the battery very, very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so you'll be going out and making a purchase.
Yeah, I'm
eventually.
hoping we'll get them here. People keep saying March, but from watching the presentation, I think it's more likely to be June at the earliest. And I would actually go out and pay money for one. I would plunk down cash and get one.
But in order for it to come here, does it need an agreement with because 3G is built into the second generation that will be coming out?
Yeah.
Does it need an agreement with a telco provider?
I think at that point it does. Unless they want to do what Google's doing now with the Nexus phone, which is purely just sell it and you just put a SIM card in and away you go.
Yeah.
He didn't get into the international detail in too much at the presentation. AT&T's signed up for an exclusive deal, it would seem, for a bit longer yet. But in the States. But for the rest of us, we just don't know. But certainly because there are various versions of it, you can get one that has no 3G connectivity at all, and it's basically a giant iTouch. So it's got Wi-Fi built in instead.
Right.
So, perhaps you don't actually need the 3G component. Perhaps if that's all you're after, then the Wi-Fi model would work better. So those will be available first, and then the 3G models, and I guess we just have to wait and see what kind of deals get struck.
And just very quickly before we wrap up, on a local level of technology news this week, there's been a telecom failure for the second time. Now, with your Vodafone harness back on there, the chafing harness, I know, Paul Brislen. Do you have any sympathy for what's going on over there at Telecom?
Sympathy, yes, but I'm not going to let that stop us. I mean, we're seeing huge increase in demand in the South Island this week. Customers, business customers in particular, are asking, okay, you guys have got this new 3G network down here. How does it work? What sort of phones can I use? When can I get it? And we're seeing a lot of movement at business level. Companies with hundreds of employees scattered around the South Island who just can't cope when they are disconnected. We've been doing 3G networks now since 2005. We're pretty good at them by now. It's not rocket science, but it isn't easy either. You've really got to know your stuff, and I think Telecom's on a steep learning curve.
Are you saying that they currently don't know their stuff?
I'm saying that they've chosen a technology provider that's not renowned for 3G networks. They've never run this kind of network before. I'd say they're just learning as they go. And unfortunately, the customers are paying the price.
That they are. I'm going to say,
Goodness.
at the moment, I'm glad I'm not one of those.
Well, we'll say a nice 3G Extend phone, an HTC Magic. You can get your data and your email and roam around and sit on the beach at St Clair outside Dunedin and have a lovely time of it if you like. It's, yeah. I'll stop now while I'm ahead.
Paul Brislen. Oh, you really got one in there this week. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Talk to you next week. Paul Brislen, autumn.wordpress.com, and check him out on Twitter as well, twitter.com/Paul Brislen.